was missed. So, you know, obviously the shout came and the orders were given for Gorka Izagirre to kind of try and slip away, he did. And you know, he took out 4 minutes on that descent. We're just saying that you know, how far were the peloton behind. And you know, when you get in that situation, it's very difficult to get time checks. It's very difficult for the you know, the commissaires to do these time checks, to get any on a long descent like that to understand where everybody is. So you know, even for the TV camera, it's very difficult to understand. And I don't think many of the TV in the cars will be working at that stage. So you know, very difficult to get any information whatsoever on a descent. And normally in a descent, because of the risks and things like that and crashes, they try and keep the radio tour as quiet as possible. But at the end of the day, Latour had been riding all day with his 82-hour teammates. Gorka Izagirre went on the attack in the descent. You know, I can't see that you know, he's a sort of rider that would just, you know, ride away in a descent and, you know, not think anything of it. So I think Latour has just thought, I've got a day of yellow, I'm a young rider, maybe not got a strong enough team to defend it, and it's up to the other teams to ride. And now we've got Lotto, NL, Jumbo, BMC, Sky, Giant, Alpecin really trying their hardest. But you know, these two here, Sutherland just has to bury himself. You know, he's a good young German rider riding for a Spanish team, and he just has to bury himself. Gorka Izagirre just has to stay in the wheel, eat, drink, and be brought to the bottom of this climb. And I'm saying, Declan, that if he even has 30 seconds advantage, I think it's still going to be very difficult for Gorka Izagirre to be brought back. And I think he's going to hit this climb with possibly a couple of minutes advantage.
Well, he's got almost 7 kilometres before they get to the bottom of that climb. The advantage now, as you can see on your screen, it's easy to do the maths, isn't it? It's 3.5 minutes, so it's paired considerably in recent moments. So down to 3.5 minutes, and Sutherland is doing what he can to absolutely flake himself to the bottom of that hill to make sure that Gorka Izagirre can save as much energy as possible. An extraordinary development, and as Brian says, it really is difficult to get the time checks out to the riders on the descent. So Movistar perhaps will have known that, and known that it was a great time for an ambush. Once went through a couple of hairpins with that advantage, a little bit out of sight, out of mind, and the team's not really able to react. Here, Roger Latour, his time in yellow could be limited. 14 kilometres remaining. Another intermediate sprint coming up in a couple of kilometres' time. Not of any interest to these two riders. Sutherland on the front. Gorka Izagirre, 28-year-old Spaniard, sitting in the wheel of his teammates, benefiting from the shelter and preparing himself for one of the most important 8-kilometre bike rides of his life. That summit to Amden could be his day of days. Can Gorka Izagirre fight his way into the yellow jersey? And we watch as well with interest to see how Jordi Simon gets on the final climb as well, as he could well be vaulting into second. 7:26 for the leaders. This is the group of favourites, and as you can see, it's Lotto, Jumbo, BMC and Team Sky, with one interloper from Giant Alpecin that are doing all the work. Interesting that Astana have decided not to get involved. They've got a couple of riders with good opportunities. Miguel Angel Lopez is sitting 9th overall at 34 seconds, and Michele Scarponi, who we saw waving his arms around to try and warm them up a little while ago, he's 12th overall at 38 seconds in arrears.
I think the Giant Alpecin riders, young Sam Immen, the young Dutch rider, very good talent, but I think Astana are playing a kind of cagey game. You know, they're just sitting back and allowing the other teams to do this. I think maybe an opportunity for, you know, Sky to put maybe another rider in the chase, because you don't really want to give Gorka Izagirre too much as we go through the final sprint of the day, and we'll bring the results to you as quick as possible. But I think it will be both Ethics riders of Ricchese and Elio Cas are taking maximum points. But this man at the back here for Verve Active Jet, he started today at 6:25. Maybe an unknown to some. You know, I've been watching this lad for the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, one of my previous teams, I looked about signing him to, because he is a talent. He can go uphill well, and you know, yesterday he didn't do too shabby. And I think of all the riders in the breakaway, if he did it yesterday, he can do it today. Jordi Simon is a big shout for the stage win here today.
And a big shout for an opportunity to step up on general classification. Took the GC victory in Vuelta Ciclista a León in 2013. Sitting 30th overall at 6 minutes and 25 seconds as we pick out Michael Albacini, one of the Swiss favourites in this race. Usually comes up with stage success in this race or Romandy. And it's not going to be today, I don't think, for Michael Albacini. He might have fancied his chances in getting into the early breakaway, but for now he's got to think about just getting to the foot of that climb, getting up it as best he can. Team Orica Green Edge well to the fore in the early stages of Tour of Switzerland, but things have gone a bit quieter for them in the last couple of days. They haven't got any GC contenders. Michael Matthews is still in the race.
I think we're just going to see the sprint coming up. I just heard something in our ear that they're going to show us the sprint, or the results at least. But I tell you what, you know, Movistar started this race with 8 riders. 2 riders have climbed off Labato, and Alex Dowsett, which gives them, you know, 6 riders. Very difficult to control. So maybe some of the GC teams are thinking, well, they'll commit some riders, but not all at all, because there's still an opportunity. But this means that if Lotto NL Jumbo, BMC, Sky and Giant Alpecin are riding this down, it will mean when we come to this climb, you know, they'll have to race up at heart. You know, it's a difficult climb and difficult pitches, a bit similar to yesterday, especially the finishing area, the last kilometre, very difficult. So it'll mean the GC riders will have to ride, because they can't afford to give Gorka Izagirre too much time whatsoever.
Another 2 riders have climbed off to go with the 5 that have already abandoned, as we get confirmation of that second sprint of the day. Another 6-point added to his haul. Max Ricchesi's got a stage win already. Looks like he's climbing into the lead of the points classification this afternoon. Ilya Kaisa policing him and guiding him to that maximum haul of points. So 12 points added to his total. Means he will emerge from today with 34 points to Peter Sagan's 26 by my calculations. Ilya Kaisa, solid job.
Yeah, just to run over the riders in this front group, 12 riders, in fact. There were 13, but Tosh van der Sande of Lotto Soudal is there with his teammate Pim Lichtart. BMC have got Gilbert, he won't be doing any riding whatsoever. Kais and Ricchesi are there mopping up the sprint points. Paterski is there for CCC. Weenie is there for Rompot. Kevin Reza for Francais de Jeu. Cannondale got Christian Corrin there. Gregory Rast is there for Trek. Jordi Simon, who I've already mentioned, from Perva ActiveJet, and Brunker of Team Roth.
So Paterski rolls to the front in the distinctive colours of CCC Sprandli Polkovica as the peloton is stretched thin behind now, well under 7 minutes. So they definitely are the fastest travelling group on the road in this 6th stage of the Tour of Switzerland. But has it been too little too late? It's a hell of a lot right now, isn't it? Christian Knaes to the front, and those riders are absolutely piling it on. There's nothing held back. It's extremely physically demanding right now on the front of the peloton. It's too easy in there on the wheels either. Everybody's feeling it, and you can be sure that there's some very cold and weary bones in there amongst them. 3:35, so still well over 3 minutes advantage with the 9.8 kilometres left for the main group of breakaway riders up front. Behind at 3.5 minutes, they've got a little bit more than 10k left, probably a little bit more than 11. And the main group of favourites down to 6:41. It's the 6th stage of the 9-stage Tour of Switzerland 2016. Inside 10 kilometres to go into the final knockings, and the characteristics of this stage about to change significantly very shortly, because we're reaching the foot of that climb not too far away now. 7.8 kilometres is where the climb officially begins. They come into the beautiful village of Amden, a very important tourist destination for the well-heeled in Switzerland. As you can see, if you've got a nice boat, they've got a very nice lake for you, the Valensee. It's called the Whale Lake. Not sure how many whales are in there. Probably not that many. Not even sure if it's named after whales as we understand them, but that's what it's called, the Valensee. It's an absolutely beautiful location. Palm trees are getting a bit of a soaking today, as indeed are the riders.
Well, just looking at the general classification, the only team who's not helping out in the chase are obviously the yellow jerseys team of the AG2R. Kelderman's team sitting, equal on time, are helping. Skye there for Geraint Thomas, Giant Alpecin for Warren Barkley. TJ has got a couple of riders in there helping as much as possible, but coming down to 6th place to 19 seconds, Talansky, Cannondale are not chipping in any at all. Obviously we've got Gorka Izagiri almost about 3 minutes in front of the peloton, and then in 9th place you've got the Astana rider Lopez, so that's why they're sitting back. They're just playing a bit of a waiting game. Pantano moved into 10th, the leader now of the IAM team, because Matthias Frank never started because of a cold. So it's, the gauntlet's down. The breakaway could be possibly taking the stage win, or at least one rider from the breakaway, but this has been a fantastic ride by Movistar. Gorka Izagiri, the rider 176 at the back, attacked the peloton in the long Clausen Pass descent. No reaction from the peloton whatsoever. They just waited until they got down safely into the valley. They then realised in the valley they were almost 4 minutes behind them. Sutherland was in the original breakaway, as we see on our screen at the moment. He dropped back, is now riding Gorka Izagiri into a potential yellow jersey with some time in his back pocket.
There's the details. Max of 12.5%. It's over 10.5% average up this climb, and already the gradient is starting to grip as we come close to the bottom of this climb. Pretty much on it at this point, as the 13 riders from the initial 15 men that made their way clear of the peloton after 10 kilometres of this 162.8 kilometre stage have arrived at the bottom of the hill together. Just Suderland, who we saw helping Gorka Izagir, has missed out on being involved in the early stages of this. Tall Hook we've already seen heading back to the bunch. He's got his mountains points. So it looks like Nico Brunger, one of 3 Swiss riders, is the first man to try his luck off the front. The man from Team Roth, 27 years of age, just over half an hour down on general classification. It's his 2nd year on the team. No significant results of note, but a great opportunity to make a name for himself. And who is it that's going to come across to him? Because riders winching big gears, looks like Peter Weening.
Yeah, it starts off very steep, the bottom of this climb. It does kind of level a little bit as soon as you get a bit further up, but I tell you what, it's almost like yesterday. It's relentless. Peter Weening is the first to keep the pressure on, but just behind you can just see the Team Roth rider just being passed on the right hand side by Georgi Simon. Peterski coming up for CCC Sprandi Polkovica, and I think you have to ride your own tempo, especially at the start of this climb. Just similar to yesterday, we saw a lot of attacks from winner Anacona and Nathaniel Bahani. It led to nothing, and obviously the stage was been taken by the Colombian who rides for BMC, and he took a magnificent stage at Atapuma. But the problem is, you have to climb like this after riding on the flat, especially in these conditions. Your legs can feel a wee bit like wooden. But Peter Weening from Rompot's 2nd division team, they've already got the King of the Mountains jersey, but Georgi Simon just settling down and setting his own tempo as this breakaway of original 15, now 13 at the front of the race is starting to break apart.
He's 35 years of age now, is Peter Weening, the man from the Netherlands. He's taken stage success in the Tour de France in the past, and now it seemed an impossibly large gear that he was trying to drag in the early stages of this hill now has played himself into a slightly higher tempo. The man with great climbing ability just decided to try his luck off the front as Maciej Peterski, the Pole from CCC Sprandi Polkowice, gives chase. And from the Polish squad, as Weening goes through that little left-hander, finds that he's out of sight, out of mind for a very, very short amount of time. This is Jordi Simon that's now managed to make his way past Peterski. Sunderland's done his work. He has propelled Gorka Izagir to the bottom of the final hill with just under 2.5 minutes advantage. What can Gorka Izagir do about hanging on to most of that if he needs, at least 27 seconds on that main group, or at least on Pierre-Roger Latour and Wilco Kelderman. By the time he gets to the top of the hill, will he be still clear of the bunch? Will he be still clear by enough to take over the yellow jersey? He's at least given himself a fighting chance. So too, for stage honours, has Peter Weening. Weening goes through one of these canopies, these pillared canopies that are so prevalent and popular in Switzerland. They really do characterise these extraordinary climbs that proliferate in this region. And now what is the gap for Peter Weening as Jordi Simon and Maciej Peterski battle in his wake to try and get back on touch with the Dutchman. Izagir is into the early stages and the gradient biting for him too. The lights of the motorbikes reflecting on the camera lens indicating that there's been absolutely no let-up in this rain throughout the afternoon. I can tell you it's still pouring down as it has been for most of the afternoon here at the finish line. And these riders will know they've been in a bike race. Gradient bites all the way to the line, hardly gives up for even a second. And now a little bit of a review from the peloton. Pared back the advantage to 5 3/4 minutes, approaching the lower slopes of the climb, but still it's nervous and anxious moments as the riders consider what's awaiting for them. Jarlinson Pantano hands over his wet weather jacket. It's the long gloves off in a moment, and he gets a chance and prepares himself to do battle with the other mountain climbers. Two minutes 20 seconds now. It's an interesting development this with Gorka Izagir. The peloton really on a charge now, but can Gorka Izagir hang on?
I think he can. I think he's going to take the yellow jersey. The stage winner from yesterday, Atapuma, comes to the front. He's now got his stage in his pocket and he's thinking of TJ Van Garden. They have to go from the bottom of the climb. They don't want to give Gorka Izagir too much time. He's going to take some time today. I think he's going to take the jersey. Peter Weening is a little bit further in front. In fact, 5 minutes and 40 in front of the peloton. But just watch the time of Group 3. That is where Gorka Izagir is. And he started the day only a matter of seconds in front of or behind most of the GC contenders. So this is Peter Weening, the Dutch rider, one of the older riders that was in the original breakaway, 35 years old. He won the Tour of Norway this year from Edvard Boasson-Hagen by going on the attack. He's on the attack today, trying to win the stage, but possibly one or two riders may tiptoe up to him. But as we see, these are the teams that are fighting out for the general classification. Not like yesterday where they were just steady, using their teammates. Team Sky just setting a steady tempo at the front of the peloton. These guys will have to race the whole way up this climb today.
No easy ride today from hero to helper, Darwin Atapuma. Superb stage victory yesterday, and now he is helping out as best he can. TJ Van Garderen sitting 4th or 5th wheel. It's two Colombians leading the peloton, the early stages of this 8-kilometre climb to the summit at Amden this afternoon. Atapuma followed by Jarlinson Pantano.
And you can just see Declan just to the behind Geraint Thomas. You can see the yellow jersey of Pierre Latour, who had a magnificent day yesterday, but I don't think he's enjoying too much today. His team kind of blew away after the Clausen past descent, and they weren't up for the task. But I think he will battle. He would love to keep a hold of that jersey, but he's going to have to do it on his own.
It's 2 minutes and 9 seconds is the advantage for Gorka Izagir over the main group of favourites, including the yellow jersey Pierre-Roger Latour. And as we've said on several occasions, just to remind you, 27 seconds is the advantage that he needs at the top of this climb. If he can hang on by 27 seconds or more, he is likely to move into the yellow jersey. It's looking good at the moment. 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Meanwhile, it's 5 minutes and 37 seconds between Peter Weening and the main group of favourites. What's happening amongst the erstwhile breakaway companions as the Dutchman gets out of the saddle once more and really feels this grippy gradient. As we said, it's maximum of about 12%, so it never gets much more than its average. It's quite a steady, constant climb, but it is absolutely, it's amongst the more severe ones.
Well, it just goes to show you, Declan, that as soon as we've hit this climb, the peloton have exploded. There can only be about 25 riders left. These are the original breakaway riders. They're splattered all over the place. That's Petersky that's back there, but I'm thinking that's Elio Kaiser, and then we're starting to see Georgi Simon. I thought Georgi Simon would be a little bit better here, but Elio Kaiser is sitting in second place in this climb. Then we get Petersky of CCC's Sprandi Polkovica, and then the danger man, who I thought could have potentially been taking this stage win, because yesterday he finished very well, definitely in the top 30. But very good climb. But just goes to show you that the day after doing a very good ride, his legs are hurting. Peter Winning rode for Orica Green Edge over the last few years. Stepped down a level to Rompot, the all Dutch team, and I tell you what, they're having a fantastic Tour de Suisse. If they can pull off a stage with Peter Winning, very capable of doing this. But holding the King of the Mountains, I'm not going to say Tolhoek is going to win it come Sunday, but he's in a very good position. So Rompot, hats off to you guys, because you certainly lit up this race, and you get your just rewards.
Yeah, one of the teams that were invited, one of the 4 teams that were invited, as well as the 18 World Tour teams. And Team Rompot certainly justifying their inclusion this afternoon, as the peloton get a little bit of brief respite from the torrential rain that's been raining down on them pretty much all afternoon, pretty much throughout the week. Is this Sutherland? I think perhaps it is. Get a better idea very shortly. Great work done from Sutherland of Team Movistar. As now Ian Boswell goes to the front for Team Sky on the front of the peloton, chasing this man. This is the one that they're really worried about, Gorka Izagir. Jordi Simon has a great opportunity to move up on general classification, 6:25.
Well, the gap has dropped down to just under 2 minutes from Gorka Izagir back to the peloton. So still a lot of hard work to be done. The 5 kilometres is to the leader. I would think that add another kilometre or just over a kilometre to Gorka Izagir. So he's still got 6.5 kilometres to go to the finish. Can he hold on? He's got just under 2 minutes to keep the GC contenders at bay. He did say Boswell leading the way. Dombrovskis was up there in second place for Cannondale, thinking of Andrew Talansky, who lost some seconds yesterday. But this is going to be an interesting ascent, especially the last few kilometres, because I think that the GC contenders really have to come out fighting.
Starting to hurt a little bit now, isn't he, Gorka Izagir? And this one is going to hurt all the way to the summit of the climb. There's no let up, as we've said. And Gorka Izagir presented with an opportunity to step out to a certain extent from the limelight of his brother Jon Izagir, who's a time trialist of great facility and also climbs very well indeed. Both the brothers finishing alongside each other, just a year between them in age, little between them in talent. But the man with the better results in his career to date is indeed Jon Izagir. 27 years of age. Hasn't been lower than 5th in 4 stage races in 2016. He's taken victory in Grand Prix Miguel Indurain. No victories for this man, Gorka Izagir. He could be presented with a big opportunity today. What's he got left in the tank? What have these guys got left? Sorry.
Look at the time advantage. It was coming down to about 150, and now it's sitting in still about 2 minutes. Boswell was doing the riding at the front, Dombrovsky in second place, Talansky's there, Pantano, and then we get Warren Barguil. But if it remains this way, for sure Gorka Izagir is going to be pulling on the jersey at the end of today's stage, and that's the yellow jersey. But Peter Winning from Rompot still looks favourite for the stage win. Yesterday's stage winner Arthur Puma has done his job at the start of the climb. Big day out yesterday, big stage win for BMC, but he's going to have to leave his team leader to do the job himself in front.
And such a tough day for the riders, not everybody responding well to these tough conditions. And in fairness to Arthur Puma, he really gave it all he had in the lower slopes of this climb.
Spilak was finding wanting a little bit yesterday, so he's now decided that he needs to make up some time. We did say that the GC contenders have to come out fighting. Katusha never aided to the chase in the valley up to the bottom of this climb, but Spilak, the rider that won this race last year, lost a little bit of time, struggled a bit yesterday in the climb, but has decided to come out fighting today.
It's the reigning champion of the Tour de Suisse attempting to defend his title by taking back some of the 44 seconds that he is currently in arrears on general classification to Pierre Latour. Pierre Latour is his name, Pierre Roger. The Roger apparently was added as a clerical error when he was an amateur, but it's kind of stuck. That's what his fans paint on the road, and he has a few fans around the region. Not that the paint is really sticking to the road in these conditions. Simon Spilak probably feels like he's sticking to the road despite the conditions. The Slovenian rider, 27 years of age, now took best victory of his career in Tour de Suisse 12 months ago. 29 years, I should say, of age. Also took Tour of Romandy success back in 2010 with 3 stages over the years in that race, so he really likes it when he comes to race in Switzerland.
Well, very soon, I think in the next kilometre or two, you're going to see the GC contenders pretty much on their own. They're going to lose their teammates. Ian Boswell trying as hard as he can, but he'll only be able to do so much. We just see TJ Van Garderen just drifting back ever so slightly there. The yellow jersey actually hanging on the point of the saddle now. I think he's really struggling today, and I don't think he'll be in that yellow jersey at the end of today's stage.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Pierre Latour at the moment. He's fighting manfully to defend that yellow jersey as best he can for as long as he can. Winner Anacona a little bit further back from him. We also see Janetsky.
There's TJ Van Garderen pulling out now, so he's pulling out to the right hand side, so it looks as if it's all over for TJ Van Garderen. He looked very good yesterday. They won the stage, but unfortunately TJ Van Garderen is starting to lose the wheel.
Well, that is a very significant moment because he's testing his form ahead of the Tour de France. The question marks there about Van Garderen, of course, who was forced to pull out of the Tour 12 months ago when in a very strong position overall. And for Van Garderen, got to be worrying moments. Perhaps it's the weather conditions. They do tend to change things around a little bit.
Well, obviously the weather conditions, it was showery yesterday, but it's been cold. The riders have been battered by this rain non-stop from the start, but Peter Winney's putting in a real strong performance today. He went from the bottom of this climb, set his own tempo, and this looks as if he's going to have enough in the tank to take this stage one. Just looking at the advantage now, since Spilak has gone on the attack to Gorka Izagirre, and it is coming down somewhat, but not fast enough. Still think that Gorka Izagirre will be in the yellow jersey at the end of today's stage, but we're going to see a GC fight behind. Many of the teammates of the GC contenders will lose contact now that Spilak has gone in the attack, which will mean that the last few 3 kilometres could mean that the GC contenders have to battle it out themselves.
He's got 136 on the main group of favourites at the moment. Gorka Izagirre is really fighting to try and take over the race lead in the Tour of Switzerland. Has the Movistar man got what it takes? 7 seconds back from Pierre Roger Latour, who's still in that group, still just in front of the orange jersey. And towards the back of the group, the Basque flags in evidence. Simon Spilak from Slovenia has a narrow advantage over the group of favourites. Has a little look over his shoulder. Is he regretting that impetuosity? He's right up at the top of the block. It's a 24 or 25 sprocket that he's desperately trying to get on top of and spin as best he can.
Well, he started today in 44 seconds, and a very small group now. Warren Barkley has to go. What we're just saying, the GC contenders have to come out fighting. Warren Barkley is there, Geraint Thomas, Jon Izagirre, the Pantanos there, the yellow jersey hanging on the back. That's Chernetsky. It's just been distance for Katusha. T. Spinutz is just in front of him, doing an exceptional ride today. Rui Costa now losing a little bit of time now, being looked after by one of his teammates, but the GC contenders are going to be split all over the place, but I think it's all over for Pierre Latour. Fantastic ride yesterday, but the efforts he had to make in the last kilometre, I think he's paying for it today.
Oh, he's fighting though, isn't he? He's absolutely desperate to hang on as best he can. The only thing that matters to him is the wheel in front, but it looks as if that group is starting to split a little bit. Spilak has thought the better of that effort, and while he still holds an advantage over the other riders, he's decided to just ease up a little bit, see if he can retain a little bit of energy. But look at the way that group of favourites has split, and at the back, nodding his way off the back at the moment, is Pierre-Roger Latour of AG Tour Le Mondial. The race leader is in trouble.
We've just seen Barkley, Jonas, Izagirre, Kelderman, Pantano, Thomas. Spilak has just been brought back. Lopez is also there, but as we said, running out of teammates. Talansky, I think, is the other rider towards the back with Dombrowski. You run out of teammates, you have to do it on your own. So inside the last 5 kilometres for these riders, they're going to have to battle and they're going to have to do it themselves.
He's still got over a minute and a half advantage by the indications from the watch. That is Gorka Izagirre we're talking about, the man from Movistar who's ahead of this group of favourites. Latour's managed to winch himself back onto the tail of Janetsky, and there's a split there.
Yeah, Cheslik for Vervaktijek, just taking a no man's land trying to come on. So small group. Warren Barkley is the rider setting the tempo. 2 of the Cannondale riders towards the back, Dombrowski and Talansky, but it's Barkley who's setting the tempo. Kelderman has to do something as well, you know, if he wants to try and win the GC, but it doesn't look as if he wants to come through and contribute. Geraint Thomas looks around as well. These guys have to keep riding. If they're not going to ride with each other, one rider has to do it, and it seems to be Barkley who has to go out there and just ride as hard as they can, because they're ruining the fact that down the Clausen Pass, the major climb of today, that Gorka Izagirre went on the attack and is sitting about what's just over 120, 125 in front of the this main group, and they're losing time on a very good bike rider.
Well, the only rider with a teammate in there, from what I can figure out, is Talansky, the man on the right-hand side of these 2 green riders at the back of the group, the Team Cannondale riders. Joe Dombrowski is there for as long as he possibly can. Miguel Angel Lopez is well placed at the moment, 7th overall 12 months ago in the sky blue of the light blue, I should say, of the Astana squad. Meanwhile, we pick up the front of the race. Peter Weening, reliving past glories, still a force to be contended with in world cycling. 35 years of age, finds himself just 1 kilometre from the GPM, which is the Grand Prix Montagne, which of course is the king of the mountains, and that comes with 1,200 metres to go. So he's still got 2.2 kilometres of racing to do. It wasn't 1 kilometre to the line, just 1 kilometre to the distribution of points for the king of the mountains, which is of little concern to him really, and now he's really starting to suffer out there now. He's 186 centimetres tall. His racing weight is listed as 66 kilograms. Easy for a guy that tall to get down to that weight, but Spilak's gone again. Spilak, the reigning champion, had a little breather and has decided to try his luck once more. Barguil it is that goes to the front for Team Giant Alpecin to try and control this one from the Katusha rider.
Well, the defending champions really come out fighting, but I tell you what, Warren Barguil looks one of the strongest in this climb, but Jon Izagirre for Movistar is getting a very good ride today. He only has to sit there and follow. Barguil is asking, come on Lopez, someone help here. Someone has to take this race on because it's disappearing down the roads, especially with Gorka Izagirre. You don't want to give him too much time. It's sitting only, a minute in front of this group of main contenders. It's Warren Barguil, the Frenchman for Giant Alpecin, it's doing most of the ride. And this is the attack now. Nobody would ride. Jon Izagirre just decided, well, I'm going to let him go, and I can't go with him. Gorka Izagirre is in front, his brother. So Spilak, last year's champion, only 44 seconds down. Taking the bull by the horns is what you have to do in the last few kilometres here, and try and eat into that advantage of Gorka.
Spilak 13th overall at 44 seconds going into today's stage. He was behind Gorka Izagirre, who's further up the road, less than a minute now for Gorka Izagirre. It's starting to look a little bit of a concern now for this man, so we pick him up. Been up the road since the summit of the first of two classified climbs of the day, with fully 60 kilometers remaining in the stage. He decided to try his luck. He's still out front, and he's within, well, what, 3 kilometers of the summit of this final climb of the day, but he's got a lot of bike riding still to do. And will Gorka Izagir be able to hang on? It's less than a minute now, advantage to that group of favourites behind.
Yeah, it's a very difficult finish, especially the last kilometre, so if anything he is going to lose time, because you know, Spilak is coming up, Barguil looks good enough, and it's now touch and go. He's coming up to catch some of the remnants of the breakaway. Tosh van der Sand, you know, really grimacing to go up this climb, but Gorka Izagir just has to keep his tempo. He'll be getting instructions from the car behind what the time gap is, but it does look as if Simon Spilak, last year's winner, is coming up this climb a lot quicker than Gorka.
Peter Weening settling into that familiar style. Aching limbs being coaxed into 1,300 metres of effort. And there's nothing less than double figures percentage from now to the finish line. In fact, it's been a little less than that throughout this climb. At least it's constant. It's not jumping around with different gradients. That can be tough for some riders. He's going to take maximum points on this first category ascent, so it's a decent haul of points. And Weening, I think, could well move into second place in the mountains competition as a result of his second day in the breakaway. Antoine Tolhoek looks very secure in that position at the moment. Team Rompot, great day. The mountains competition would be a considerable achievement, but there's the stage win on offer, and Peter Weening looks like he's in good position to deliver. I wonder what's happening from the other riders that were trying to get on terms with him. Jordi Simon, Maciej Petersky, and of course Ilio Kaisa from Edix Quickstep, who were trying their luck now. 1 kilometre, 1,000 metres left for Peter Weening.
And it's not an easy 1,000 metres, because, as I said, driving up here earlier on today, you go over the kind of mountains, it gets even harder. So the last kilometre is really difficult, but I think he's got enough advantage to take this stage win out. Still some supporters getting in the way now, but Ricchesi has done a very good job today, just been swept up by the I was going to say the leading the yellow jersey group, but the yellow jersey has been dropped from this leading contenders group. He's picked up many points, but Dombrowski doing an exceptional ride for Talansky here. Spilak has obviously been brought back, and you see him just on the right of our picture, but they're closing in, but I think if you want to gain some seconds, you really have to wait to the last kilometre, because it is very difficult, and we're going to see a similar battle which we've seen yesterday in the finish up to the finishing climb where Atapuma won yesterday.
Well, this is the group behind the main group of favourites. It includes the yellow jersey. They're leaking time, significant amounts of time. It includes three-time Tour de Suisse winner Rui Costa. He said, don't really consider me for the overall this year. I'm just testing my form and I'm trying to build it ahead of July in the Tour de France. He doesn't believe himself to be an overall contender. And the man set to benefit most is the man in yellow here in the middle of the group, Lotto Jumbo's Wilco Kelderman. Second by just fractions of a second to Pierre Roger Latour. He needs to make sure that Gorka Izagir is not more than 27 seconds ahead of him when they reach the summit of this climb.
Geraint Thomas there, sorry, Declan just starting to lose, doesn't look so good. We're still just inside a kilometre to go to the top of the climb, but there's still a kilometre or 1.2 kilometres to go to the finish, so it does look as if Geraint Thomas is starting to struggle a little bit on this climb.
They were just picking out the man second on the hill, racing towards second. Doesn't seem that he can do anything about the stage leader, Peter Weening. That was Ilio Kaisa from Edix Quickstep doing a super job. Now, Andrew Talansky has put Joe Dombrowski onto the front of this group to try and see, can Team Cannondale tow this gap back down to within a half a minute. Warren Barguil sitting third overall for Team Giant Alpecin and France, second overall yesterday, second in yesterday's stage.
Looks like Geraint Thomas has actually lost the wheel now. We did notice he was starting to suffer. So second last year, starting to suffer on this climb. Very difficult conditions now. So Geraint Thomas is starting to slip out the back of the contenders group.
Well, Geraint Thomas started the day third overall, just 5 seconds back. Of course, he just missed out on victory, overall victory in this race by 5 seconds 12 months ago. He's won Paris-Nice this year, but can he make it third stage race success for 2016? He's going to have to get back on terms Peter Veening is inside the barriers, inside the last few hundred metres, and he's still having to push as hard as he possibly knows. Elio Kais is further back on the hill, but Veening, it looks as if he's going to get the final glory, and he'll be absolutely stood still within seconds of going across the line. This has been a tough day out. He puffs his cheeks and he blows hard, and well he might, as he manages to raise an arm to celebrate a wonderful success inside the last 150 metres for the Dutchman. And this crowd who've been on this hill all afternoon trying to find shelter from the rain, finally come out to the barrier to celebrate a success for Team Rompot, a pro-continental team that have really put it up to the World Tour teams today in the breakaway all week. It's Peter Veening, ever the pro, makes sure that he's got full advantage, punches the air into light as well he might. 35 years of age, he's taken success at the very top level. Once more he takes a World Tour stage victory, and Peter Veening gets his arms in the air, takes stage 6 of the Tour de Suisse 2016. It's Veening that gets the win. It's the win even.
Well, Gorka Izagirre only has a matter of about 200 metres in front of the contenders group, so he's actually kind of blown a lot on this climb. He started the climb with about 2 minutes advantage. He's got Gilbert for company, so as we pan out now, Kevin Rez is there, but a great win by Peter Veening. But just look at the speed that Cannondale coming up here with Dombrovski and Talansky, and as we come over the top of the climb, still 1.2 kilometres to go for the GC contenders, but Gorka Izagirre, a canny attack on the descent of the Clausen Pass, but unfortunately he's going to gain no seconds. In fact, I think he's going to be caught. You just see him on the right hand side going through the 1 kilometre to go sign. So unfortunately for Gorka Izagirre, it's not meant to be, but he has got his brother there, Jon, in this group just behind.
A brave effort from Gorka Izagirre. He finds himself with 1,000 metres to go and just a handful of seconds advantage over the group of favourites led by the two riders from Team Cannondale, who are having a fantastic afternoon. Andrew Talansky will be paying due respect to Joe Dombrowski for his great work this afternoon. For the Izagirre brothers, at least Jon is safely in there, safely in the hunt in the final kilometre. Gorka Izagirre, well, what's he got to be able to at least stay in touch and not lose too much time in the closing stages? Because with Geraint Thomas jettisoned from this group, well, there's one or two other riders as well who've disappeared, so there could be an opportunity for Gorka Izagirre to at least stay in top 10 contention.
I'll tell you what, Geraint Thomas is not giving up yet. He's just about to come round the corner, so at the front there, one could argue, what's he doing there? He just moved over on Jon Izagirre. He's starting to suffer now. Dombrowski doing a terrific job for Talansky. So Dombrowski is there for Cannondale. Talansky is on the wheel. You've got Kelderman there. Warren Barkley has now slipped to the back. He's going to really suffer in this last kilometre. Pantano is gone. Spilak is there. Lopez is there. We've already said that the brother of Gorka, Jon Izagirre, is also in this group. As we move a little bit further up to the rider looking to finish in second place today.
Well, we never got a gap, but what a great effort.
It's Ricchesi's coming up now, so when we thought it was Elio Kais a bit further down the line, Ricchesi actually comes up here and takes some magnificent points.
Well, what
points classification.
Very significant effort from Max Ricchesi. All the time we assumed it was Elio Kais, it just seemed to be a smaller figure. What a great effort from Max Ricchesi. He's got a stage win and a second place finish, and a great haul of points, as pointed out by Brian Smith. Now on the front of the peloton, Dombrowski. Talansky's really feeling the pinch, isn't he? As Jon Izagirre next up, Wilco Kelderman, the man who's going to benefit most from what's happened this afternoon, if he can hang on with these other riders through the final 500 metres. Jaronson Pantano has been left to his own devices. Doesn't look as if he's going to be able to get back on terms. Gorka Izagirre so long out front, but now is waving so long to the main group in front of him. Barguil seems to be suffering a little bit on the back of this group at the moment, as he's trying to save something for a final attack. Simon Spilak in red of Katusha, the reigning champion, having a better day than yesterday. Miguel Angel Lopez of Team Astana in blue at the back of this group on the right hand side. What has he got for a final effort, a final attack? And Jordi Simon started the day 6:25 down and from the early breakaway group, has been caught third. Over the line, Maciej Peterski, CCC Sprandi Polkowice, another good result for that squad.
but that's the bonus seconds gone. So if we get a sprint from the GC contenders behind, we could be gaining some seconds as we see the sprint starting with Talansky and Kelderman.
So from the early breakaway team, Cannondale had a representative in there all afternoon, Christian Coran. He has climbed well to 4th on the day, 4th in the stage. Now Kelderman goes for it inside the final 100 metres. Talansky, is he able to respond? Kelderman is racing towards yellow, racing towards glory, racing to 5th place on the day, but it looks as if he's going to have what it takes to climb into yellow this afternoon. Great performance from Wilco Kelderman, great performance too from Andrew Talansky, Warren Bargui, Jan Izagir has managed to hang on there, Miguel Angel Lopez, Simon Spilak and Dombrowski's going to be very, very impressed, and he's going to get a pat on the back from Talansky, but pat on the back too for Wilco Kelderman, who, well, when final calculations are done, I believe he is heading into the yellow jersey this afternoon. Jordi Simon, his work is done, great effort from him. As Jarlinson Pantano is home, and let's give a big hat tip to Gorka Izagir. A brave effort and well worth it, but perhaps not to the great satisfaction of Pierre-Roger Latour, who didn't get the armchair ride to the final hill that he might have hoped for. Here he is, the yellow jersey is home, and he hasn't been able to defend it, but he has managed to overhaul Geraint Thomas, who really had a difficult last kilometre.
Yeah, a very difficult kilometre, a very difficult finish for every rider. The conditions have been harsh for all the riders, but you can just see how much effort it took for Kelderman. He'll be in yellow. There was so many riders, just starting to fail towards the end, and I thought Gorka Izagir, had the yellow jersey, but unfortunately it wasn't to be.
There's confirmation of the 6th stage finishing order, with Peter Wheeling taking a famous victory into Amden ahead of Max Rackesy, the sprinter, surviving for 2nd on the final hill. Matthew Petersky, great 3rd place finish for him. Coran, Kelderman, Talansky, Bargui, Izagir, Lopez, and the rest rounding out the top 10 as, well, they now